Clevitus is the strongest demon king feared by all humans, and his only goal is to wipe out humanity for good. But everything changes the day he finds a human baby and makes a choice that shocks even him. From that moment, Clen hides his power and starts a new life, pretending to be some regular loser, raising the kid right in the middle of the world he once swore to destroy. But how long can a demon king hide his true nature? As the story begins, we see a young girl walking with her father out to the farm. When they finish, he calls her to follow him back home. She wanders around the house, spots a map of Enzi, and notices something odd. Right after the edge of the map, there are only dark spaces. Just their continent, then pure darkness, so she can't help but wonder why. Curious as always, she turns to her dad and asks what's beyond their city, a question even he can't answer. He sees the curiosity in her eyes and wants to give her an answer, but he can't because the truth is that he doesn't know either. So he tells her that every human, just like her, is born wanting to know more. But every time someone tries to enter that darkness, it ends in disaster. He explains that in those dark lands there are 4 demons. Each one guards the west, east, north, and south of Ethia. Every team that's gone out to see what lies beyond has been wiped out, completely destroyed. She's shocked to hear this and wonders if it's really that dangerous, but still, it doesn't change how she feels. Her father tells her that until the demons are gone, no one can discover what's out there. Every problem should have a solution, but this one seems impossible. Then he explains that only heroes with special treasures have a chance. Only those with these legendary weapons can face the demons, and until the true hero appears, nobody can win. Instead of scaring her, this just makes her more excited. She dreams of being a hero, of fighting back. If she can get the Sword of Haydn, she'll be able to join the fight. When the heroes win, they'll finally see the world beyond the map and uncover what's hiding in those dark places. Years go by and Alicia grows up. She's no longer a child. She's now one of the chosen heroes. She opens her eyes in the truck that's carrying her to the edge of the city. She grips the chain around her neck and tells her father the time has come and she's ready to fight for her city. And she's not alone. Other heroes are heading out with her. As the journey continues, the group starts to talk and slowly introduce themselves along the way. There are a few notable figures among them, like Minarch, who carries the Golden Utopia treasure and simply says he doesn't know where he's from. They all look over at Alicia and ask her to introduce herself, clearly surprised to see a woman among their ranks, but Alicia doesn't bother to respond or say a word about herself. The carriage keeps rolling until they reach the edge of the territory where Stefan, known for wielding the Pegasus treasure, warns the group that they're getting close. Some of the others quietly whisper among themselves that Stefan is actually the strongest one in the whole group, which is why he acts like he is the leader. Suddenly, the carriage comes to a stop, and the driver tells them it can't go any farther. Everyone prepares to get down, but before they've even set foot on the ground, a sudden attack by demons catches them off guard, and in the chaos, several drivers are killed right away. Stefan yells for everyone to get out and fight back. They all rush out, and Stefan immediately divides the squad into smaller groups. The archers and lancers quickly jump into action, while Stefan tells the rest that he's going to team up with Alicia to take on the remaining enemies. Alicia, carrying the rock swallow treasure, joins Stefan in the battle. She's powerful and charismatic, but what stands out most is how sharp and aware she is of everything happening around her, never missing a detail. Then we see that standing on a mount in front of them is one of the demon lords, who begins speaking about the world being born from chaos. He admits that if the world itself is born of chaos, then he must be as well, and maybe he's right. The fighting gets even more intense as all the heroes leap and push their way through hills and over rocky ground, making their way up to the top of the mountain. Stefan, excited and ready for the challenge, is determined to live up to his reputation as the most intelligent one among them. He tells the group that today is the day they'll be recognized as true heroes, and they have to prove to everyone who chose them that they really are strong enough. Finally, when they reach Luna Mountain, the demon lord steps forward and shows himself. He looks both stunning and terrifying at the same time, with white, fluffy skin and a piercing stare that makes everyone uneasy. This is Clevitus of the Moonlight, the ruler of the far southern end of Ethia. Stefan is momentarily thrown off, and even he admits just how frightening this enemy really is. But despite the fear, this is exactly what they came for. They're here on a mission, they're not alone, and together they're determined to make the legend a reality. But just as Stefan braces himself to attack, Clevitus suddenly launches a strike from a distance, hurling Stefan into the side of the mountain and killing him instantly. And unfortunately, that was the end of Stefan. Everyone stands there frozen and shocked as hell because Clevitus didn't even move an inch and Stefan's already dead. One of the other heroes tries to step up and take charge, shouting at everyone to get it together and fight back, but Alicia isn't rushing in like the rest. She's scanning the mountain, looking for anything that might give them an edge. As the heroes get closer to Clevitus, he cuts them down one after another without taking a single step. Alicia quickly figures out what's happening. She shouts to the others, warning them that Clevitus is attacking with the shadows. If they want to survive, they need to stay away from the shadows. The group hesitates, not sure what to do, but Alicia doesn't wait. She starts leaping across the mountainside, running as fast as she can. The shadow follows her, and she's the first one who actually sees the attack coming and manages to fight back. Clevitus's eyes light up in surprise. Maybe this battle won't be as easy as the others he's fought before, but still it catches his attention. This is humanity, and for 1,000 years he hasn't faced humans, but from what he remembers, they should be weak, as fragile as insects. Yet what he sees now is different. They're strong, they're on a mission, and nothing seems to break their determination. He can't quite figure out what's driving them, but he wants to understand where their strength comes from. The heroes fight with everything they have, but Clevitus defeats them all. In the end, Alicia is the last to fall. As she's sent flying into the air, she closes her eyes, accepting her fate. She apologizes to her father for not making her dream come true, but not every dream is meant to happen, and hers is one of those that just wasn't meant to be. Meanwhile, in capital Hitterat, the people of the Haydn Kingdom go about their daily lives, unaware of the danger approaching. That's when Clevitus erupts from the mountain outside the city. Panic spreads as he appears. Everyone in the city is terrified, but Clevitus isn't interested in hurting them. He's only curious about what drives these people. He remembers that the ones who attacked him called themselves heroes sent by the king of Haydn, and now he plans to fight his way to the palace to reach the king. The villagers panic and run for safety, while the knights rush into action, bringing out their archers to launch an attack. But Clevitus doesn't attack them in return. Instead, he soars above the rooftops, heading straight for the palace, determined to discover what lies at the heart of their resolve. The knights strengthen the security of the palace gates and fire a volley of arrows at Clevitus, but none of their shots come close to hitting him. He watches their attacks, unfazed, and quickly realizes they're not as strong as he expected. They're still weak and nothing they do can harm him. With a single swing of his arm, he smashes the palace wall to the ground. The knights quickly realize the situation is out of their control, so one of them rushes off to warn the king that the Demon King has attacked. The king doesn't seem surprised. For the Demon King to reach the city, there can only be one reason: the heroes have failed. He rises from his throne and moves toward the only thing he has left to protect, the legendary blade of Haydn, Mana Hitterit. The knight insists that a demon has invaded the city and can't be stopped, urging the king to hide. But if the demon truly is unstoppable, the king reasons there's no point in running because no matter where he goes, the demon will find him. The knights keep fighting, launching fire and arrows at Clevitus, but he knows none of it will make a difference. Still, he remembers how Alicia's sword managed to wound him, even if just a little. It proves that if humans are left unchecked, they can eventually grow stronger and become a threat. He never approached human territory, but now they're after his land, and for him, that's reason enough to fight back. The king approaches the door to defend the sacred blade, but as he opens it, Clevitus appears right in front of him. With one look at the crown and the clothes, Clevitus instantly knows he's facing the king. He calls it out, speaking clear human language, and that throws the king off because a demon shouldn't be able to talk like them. The king is shocked, asking how a damn beast like him can even speak their tongue. Clevitus just tells him to watch his filthy mouth because he's the only one with the power to save humanity. He has a few questions, and the king's answers will decide if all of humanity survives or gets wiped out. By all humanity, Clevitus doesn't just mean Haydn's people, but also those of Duns, Orgates, Sladins, and Benti. His questions are direct. Who are humans? What defines their character? What is their true motivation? And why do they want to attack the Demon Kingdom? The king refuses to give any answers to a demon and only says that a beast could never understand. Clevitus doesn't bother asking again, and he simply takes off the king's head. Clevitus turns away, convinced now that humans are a threat and must be wiped out. He decides that, to destroy all of humanity, he'll need a team by his side, and he's willing to take his time building it. As he walks off, the sound of a crying baby catches his attention. Lying nearby is a mother, barely alive, holding her child with the last of her strength. Clevitus comes closer, uninterested at first when he sees it's just a human baby. But then the mother speaks. She begs him and pleads for him to save her child. He's taken aback and wonders if she even knows who the hell she's asking because she's begging the very source of her people's suffering. He tells her straight out that he's here to destroy humanity, and if she needs to blame someone for the baby's death, she should blame the child for being born human. But the dying woman refuses to back down and insists that no child ever gets to choose what they're born as. He doesn't care, but still he tells her if she wants him to spare the baby, she should give him a reason. The woman, running out of strength, says she can't prove the child's worth now, but she's certain the child will prove it when grows up, and with that, she dies. Clevitus picks up the child, and he isn't convinced, but since she was so sure, he decides he'll wait and see if this human is any different. After all, it won't take him long to watch a child grow. Elsewhere in this massive kingdom, we learn that there are 5 human races living in the world. First are the Duns, the most numerous. Next come the Orgites, known for their bravery and the horns on their heads. Then there are the Sladens, who are mostly introverted and don't interact much with others. After that are the Benti, who look a lot like demonic bandits but have incredible strength. Finally, there are the Hydanines, the oldest and the most mysterious and wisest of all. They have a unique ability to craft weapons from arcanocite, but only the royal family knows the secret technique. Because wisdom is what the Hydanines value most, they've spent years selling their weapons to the Duns. These deals have led to all kinds of adventures and partnerships between the two races, resulting in plenty of mixed bloodlines. Still, pure Hydanines are extremely rare. And outside the massive kingdom where all these races live, wild dark beasts roam the land. Then we see back in the Luna Mountains, the massive 9-tailed beast Clevides fends off a pack of smaller monsters that are about to gobble the baby. Terrified and helpless, the baby bursts into tears, and Clevides is honestly concerned the child won't last long at this rate. He wraps his tails around the baby, trying to figure out how to get this loudmouth to calm down. For a moment, he places the tip of his claw on the baby's head, and just like that, the baby falls asleep. Watching over the child, Clevides thinks to himself that it's only a matter of time before the kid drops a poop bomb. Sure enough, not long after, the baby wakes up, starts wailing, and as expected, makes a mess. Annoyed, Clevides scoots up the child and heads out to solve the problem. And the best he can come up with is tossing the kid in a damn pit. But it's not as bad as it sounds, because it's just a pit full of bugs, harmless ones that actually eat poop. And while the bugs dig into the delicious meal, Clevides blurts out his ridiculous idea that humans supposedly reach adulthood in just a matter of nights. He thinks back to where he found the baby and realizes he doesn't even know who this kid really is, and he blames his own soft heart for turning back to pick up the child in the first place. But it's too late for regrets. Now he's stuck with a human baby, and his pride as Lord of the Dark Beasts won't let him drop the kid off anywhere. So he decides he'll just have to raise the kid himself, but he has no idea what the hell to do next. He knows he can't raise the child alone because humans need to eat, and he has zero experience with this. Thinking fast, he looks at the bodies left behind from the recent battle and decides to revive Alicia. Then we see that Alicia's father was killed by dark beasts, and that's why she led an army to get revenge on the Lord of Dark Beasts, but that only ended in tragedy for her and her team. Now with Clevides' dark powers, Alicia is given a second shot at life. The moment she wakes up, she tries to fight back but quickly notices her sword and the bodies of her comrades are gone. Clevides tells her, almost bragging, that he brought her back to life using his dark power, so she's basically a walking corpse now. After hearing that, she looks down at herself, stunned and horrified. But then she gets more confused about how the hell Clevides speaks their language so well, but then deep down, she's still a little bit relieved to realize she's the only one left alive. Right then, Clevides orders Alicia to reveal her fun bags. Shocked, she immediately thinks the Lord of Dark Beasts is making some kind of pervy advances on her, and her mind starts to run wild. But before she can react further, he interrupts her dirty thoughts and explains it's because the baby is hungry. He orders her to ditch the armor and get her melons out now. And because he used dark magic to revive her, she's forced to obey, even though she's frustrated and embarrassed. She slowly lifts her top and does what he asked, only to discover that, unsurprisingly, she doesn't have any milk at all. Clevides is completely taken aback, but Alicia's still annoyed, explains to him that only women who've given birth can produce milk. Embarrassed by the whole situation, she begs him to just end her life, but he ignores her. While they argue, the baby starts crying again, and instead of solving the problem, the two end up arguing about how Clevides even found the child in the first place. Tired of the pointless conversation, Clevides orders her to come up with a way to feed the baby. Even though Alicia knows nothing about raising a child, she admits they need a woman who can actually nurse the baby. The next problem is, how do they find one? So she tells him they have to hire someone, but that requires money, and Clevides, of course, is completely broke. But Alicia points out that with all the arcanocite in the cave, they could easily make some cash. While he's thinking this over, Alicia contemplates attacking him, but with no weapon, she has no choice but to stand by. After a quick pause, Clevides agrees to find a woman who can feed the baby. He's about to leave the cave when Alicia points out the obvious. He can't just walk into town in his current form because he'd terrify everyone he saw. Alicia then offers to take the baby herself, but Clevides refuses to let the child out of his sight. So instead, he transforms himself into the form of a human boy. While his disguise is pretty convincing, his 9 tails are still swishing behind him. He quickly pulls the tails into his shadow underneath, but one small horn stays on his head. Not noticing the horn, Clevides is satisfied with his disguise, and Alicia wisely decides not to say a word about it. Before they head out, Clevides decides they need names. He he picks Clen for himself and gives the baby the name Luna. Only then does he bother to ask Alicia what her name is, and she finally tells him. After that, they all head down to a small river nearby. Once there, Alicia takes on the job of bathing the child. In the middle of it, Clen interrupts her constantly, but she keeps going until Luna ends up peeing right in her face. Clen doesn't miss a chance to criticize, acting like the world's most annoying mother-in-law. He nitpicks everything she does, from the way she washes the baby to how she wraps him up, even pointing out which spots she should focus on while cleaning. Once Alicia is done, she's exhausted, but Clen actually thinks the poop-eating bugs did a better job than she did. They leave the river and make their way to Alicia's old camp, only to find it empty. Alicia explains that her group hid their valuables somewhere else before the attack. They set out for the stash, but Clen makes her stop to clean up herself first because she stinks. Also, he hands her the baby's dirty clothes and tells her to wash them too. While doing this, Alicia notices the crest of the Haidanians' royal family on the fabric, and she realizes the baby is actually royalty. At the same time, back in the ruins of the castle, a lone soldier runs through the wreckage, searching for survivors. He's shocked by the devastation left by the Dark Lord and remembers that the crown princess had planned to escape the kingdom with her child before disaster struck. He curses the king's madness for destroying the kingdom, but still clings to hope that someone made it out alive. Meanwhile, General Drell and his men survey the remains of the Haidanians' kingdom. Drell quickly orders one of his soldiers to inform the emperor, warning that if they don't claim the land now, another race will beat them to it. He's mainly interested in the secrets of arcanicite crafting, a technique known only to the Haidanians' royal family. As he heads back to gather his army, he tells his second-in-command Maynard to hunt for any survivors with royal blood and bring them straight to him. Back with our happy family, we see Alicia confront Clen, holding up the crested cloth and accusing him of kidnapping a child with royal blood. Clen is stunned to hear this because he honestly didn't know. He tells Alicia that someone who looked exactly like the human form he's now using was the one who handed him the child. Alicia doesn't buy his story for a second, but Clen cuts her off and admits he killed the king because the king attacked him first. He warns her that now plenty of people will be searching for the child, hoping to get the secret of arcanicite crafting. Now that he knows the child is royal, Clen is determined to raise him as a king, planning to control things from behind the scenes. Alicia feels a chill because she's scared by the idea that Clen thinks of Luna as his servant. She suddenly wonders if, by revealing Luna's true identity, she's only made things worse. Clen then interrupts her thoughts, reminding her that they still need to find a woman with milk to feed the baby. As they head out, Alicia tries to reassure herself that humans would never accept Clen, especially the horns sticking out of his head. But then she remembers that the Orgites have similar horns, which could make it easy for Clen to blend in. Still, Alicia is convinced the humans will eventually figure him out and stop whatever he's planning. At the same time, she realizes just how obsessed Clen is with Luna, and the thought of Luna being harmed or lost terrifies her. So from that moment, Alicia decides she must do everything she can to protect Luna no matter what, or humanity will vanish. On the road, the group is suddenly attacked by bandits. The first blow lands square on Clen's head. Alicia assumes that ordinary bandits should be no problem for the Lord of Dark Beasts, but to her shock, Clen collapses to the ground, bleeding heavily. Panicked, Alicia screams like an annoying girl, only to be struck from behind herself, knocking her out cold. She's stunned by how weak she is, even with Clevides' dark magic inside her. Sometime later, Alicia wakes up, momentarily disoriented, as if she's surrounded by her own soldiers on a mission to attack Clevides. But before she can get comfortable in her daydream, Clen snaps at her to wake up. Reality sets in. They've both been captured by the bandits, and Clen is grinning about it. They notice that they are all stuffed into the bandits' shitty carriage, packed tighter than a can of sardines with a bunch of other poor bastards who've also been captured. And somehow, Clen is just chilling with little Luna sleeping peacefully in his arms, a stupid-ass grin plastered on his face that makes Alicia's anxiety skyrocket. She glances at Luna sleeping quietly and asks Clen how in the hell he managed to calm the kid down. Clen replies that Luna was indeed crying earlier, but thanks to the gentle rocking of the carriage, she's quiet now. Alicia pushes her way past the other miserable captives until she's close enough to whisper sharply at Clen, demanding to know why he, the badass legendary demon king, let himself get caught so easily. She figures his sudden makeover must have weakened him so much that some random asshole knocked him out with a single hit. Clen chuckles, admitting that she's almost right. Apparently, when he transformed into this scrawny-ass human disguised, it accidentally made his body as fragile as a damn toothpick. He didn't see that coming, so when someone cheap shot at him from behind, he went lights out immediately. Basically, his natural defense system is now about as effective as a wet napkin, but luckily, he can still power up his defenses if he really needs to. So Alicia wonders why Clen hasn't busted their asses out yet. Clan calmly explains that since he's now undercover as a human, he intends to keep his true badass Demon King powers under wraps until Luna is old enough to inherit the throne. Besides, he actually wants to let things play out so he can learn more about humans, especially why these innocent schmucks got kidnapped in the first place. Alicia stares at him like he's an idiot before bluntly explaining to his clueless brain that they've obviously been captured by bandits, who probably plan to sell their unlucky asses off to slave traders. Anyway, she quickly begs Clen not to judge all humans based on these thieving scumbags, because bandits are literally the bottom of humanity's barrel. Not long after, the carriage pulls up at the bandits' rundown base, and they're immediately split into two groups, men on one side, women and kids on the other. One of the captives suddenly makes a run for it, clearly sick of this bullshit. So Dagvarn, one of the bandit leaders, watches the idiot sprint away, smirking smugly, knowing the guy just signed his own death warrant. Sure enough, another bandit casually hurls a dagger at the fleeing guy, impaling him straight through the back and dropping him faster than a sack of potatoes. With that moron permanently out of commission, Dagvarn calmly warns the remaining fresh meat not to try anything similarly stupid, unless they want a blade decorating their spine too. Then his attention shifts straight to Alicia. He orders her to follow him, and before she can even protest, he roughly drags her off toward his room, intent on getting to the bottom of her melon. Clen then stands uncertainly until a woman named Karma, who appears to be in charge of handling the women and children section of this lovely human trafficking operation, notices him spacing out. Spotting Luna in his arms, Karma calls over her servant Neru, whose messed up job is basically daycare for kidnapped infants. Then we learn that the bandits' hideout is located in an abandoned quarry, and deep at the bottom of this sketchy-ass pit lies a mysterious pool of water, and at the very bottom of that pool sits a legendary red blade. Of course, it's guarded by something nasty as hell, probably a monster strong enough to rip anyone's face off. Anyway, turns out Dagvarn isn't exactly the creep I thought he was, because he just drags Alicia straight to Vroko, the asshole currently playing leader of the Crows in place of their real boss, Zozak. Apparently, Vroko staged a little coup, stealing the top dog position, and nobody's dumb enough to complain since his pet beast Betty is a literal murder machine capable of turning anyone into ground beef. Alicia recognizes Betty immediately as a vicious Western demon and is stunned that a dumbass like Vroko actually managed to tame it. Vroko casually chats with Betty, who complains that she's bored and wants to play with a human guy. With a twisted grin, Vroko tells her to help herself to either one of the unlucky bandit morons who brought Alicia over. But before Betty picks her unlucky chew toy, Vroko finally reveals why he summoned Alicia. Obviously, his goons snatched the magic crystals Alicia grabbed from Clen's crib, and Vroko knows exactly that they're from Mount Moon, the lair of big bad Clevites. Considering this, plus the fact Alicia didn't immediately shit herself at Betty's presence, Vroko deduces she's one of the 13 heroes from Haydn sent on a suicide mission to take out Clevites. Assuming Alicia was headed back to Haydn loaded with these crystals, Vroko decides to drop a bombshell. The royal capital of Haydn has already been annihilated by Clevites. But this little apocalypse isn't exactly bad news for Vroko's crooked business. He proudly flashes a reddish sword, claiming it's a mana hitterite blade, which only Haydn royalty know how to craft. Of course, Vroko's sword is faker than a $3 bill, and the Crows have been scamming people left and right with these knockoffs. Now that the entire royal family has officially logged off permanently, the price of these phony mana hitterite swords has become extremely valuable. It's one hell of a money-making scheme if Vroko's greedy ass isn't satisfied because he's after something even bigger. The purest, most legit Hydorite swords crafted personally by Haydn's kings and handed exclusively to their heroes. Vroko confidently assumes all the other heroes have already gotten their asses handed to them by Clevites, accusing Alicia of abandoning her crew to save her own skin. He demands Alicia spill where the hell her own weapon is, plus the weapons from her 12 despawned teammates. Alicia stays stubbornly silent, pissing Vroko off even more, so he orders Dagvarn and Satch to drag her ass back to Clevites' lair to find those valuable treasures. Dagvarn, showing a rare spark of brains, suggests maybe it'd be smarter to have Alicia chase after another treasure they've been eyeing. But Vroko sticks to his guns, insisting on the original plan. Before sending them off, Vroko tells Dagvarn and Satch they're free to warm up with Alicia however they like, making sure she won't cause trouble during the journey. At the same time, Clen's found himself working as a waiter at the shitty little inn run by Karma. Watching the bandits trying to flirt with Karma makes Clen silently gag, genuinely wondering how these sleazy bastards manage to exist without spontaneously combusting from their own shittiness. On the other hand, Neru is busy feeding Luna her legendary milk while also doubling as a waitress, and sadly the customers constantly abuse the hell out of her. Clen patiently serves meat to these low-life thugs, impressing the idiots with his strangely obedient demeanor. Karma, however, feels uneasy around Clen. Everyone here just assumes he's some kind of ogre because of his horns, but his pale-ass skin and ice-cold killer stare don't quite fit that profile. Suddenly, two particularly disgusting bandits decide to harass Neru, dragging her off somewhere private for their twisted entertainment. They spend all night torturing her, leaving her bruised and battered. But Neru stays quiet, silently enduring the abuse, and once those scumbags are finally done, she limps quietly back into the inn to feed Luna again like nothing happened. A few moments later, the same two bastards who brutalized Neru suddenly start feeling dizzy and weak as hell. Before they even realize what's happening, they straight up vanish from existence. Turns out Clan was behind their abrupt departure, quietly serving up some ice-cold justice for Neru. When Neru returns to Luna, she finds the kid safely in Clan's arms, totally clueless about what he just did to her tormentors. Her only concern is feeding Luna again, so she takes the baby and carries her gently to a nearby shed to nurse her in peace. Clan quietly follows her inside and sits down beside her, asking Neru to tell him about herself. He's curious if she's actually part of these crow assholes and what exactly their deal is. Neru hesitates for a second, unsure of how to explain, but Clan softly encourages her to continue talking, insisting he's genuinely interested in hearing her story and nothing more. Neru quietly begins to spill her tragic backstory, revealing that she spent her whole miserable life stuck in this shithole, with no identity beyond being a member of the Crow's gang. She never knew her father and only vaguely remembers her mother. As a kid, all she ever saw was her mom's back, and she learned early that her mother was basically just a serf, having caught glimpses of cruel people treating her badly. When she was 12, her mom suddenly disappeared without a trace. Neru never found out whether her mom died or just bolted to escape this hell, but she quickly learned what her mother had shielded her from. The same night her mother vanished, some of the crows stormed into her room while she ate and harmed her severely. From then on, life turned into a relentless nightmare. The vicious men slapped her daily, treating her worse than livestock until Karma eventually stepped in. Karma took pity on Neru, bluntly explaining that if she learned to make them happy, they might actually leave her alone for a bit. That night, Neru decided to follow Karma's terrible advice and started learning how to do what she had to survive. Although she knew she could never match Karma's level, her life marginally improved. At least now she had work and could feed infants like Luna thanks to her unusually abundant milk supply. So in some twisted way, she felt satisfied. Clan suddenly interrupts, confused as hell, asking bluntly how the hell she has milk without any children. Neru quietly admits that she had once been pregnant, but it ended in a tragic stillbirth. The baby moving inside her was the only thing keeping her sane. But when the midwives told her the child was dead, she sank into a frozen despair. Honestly, she was completely fine with passing away, figuring she might at least reunite with her lost child on the other side. But just as she was ready to let go, she suddenly felt warmth again. Her eyes snapped open to see a random 6-month-old baby desperately sucking at her melon, trying to survive. Seeing that little stranger fight so again hard to live gave her a fresh purpose. She picked up the baby, fed him, and found new meaning in her miserable existence. Since then, she's fed countless other children who ended up at the Crow's base, each one reminding her that her life had value. She confesses she even tried twice more to have kids of her own, but both times ended in heartbreak. By now, Clan's had enough of this sob story, bluntly telling her to shut up already, and out of nowhere, he asks Neru if she wants to follow him as Luna's personal wet nurse. He insists he's not trying to take her or anything weird, but he also can't think of a damn reason not to bring her along. Plus, Luna clearly likes her, so it'd definitely save him from dealing with Luna's crying tantrums all day, making it a total win for him. Luna gently taps Neru as if urging her to come with them, and Clan bluntly repeats his offer. He asks if she'd prefer becoming Luna's personal wet nurse, or if she'd rather stay here getting used and harmed by these filthy bandits. Neru hesitates. She knows damn well it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but as far as she knows, Clan is just another slave, and hitching her hopes to him feels short-sighted as hell. She quietly admits she wishes things were different, but tells Clan she can't go with him. She gently explains that as long as he's a slave too, she can't trust he'll be able to protect her. Plus, there are plenty of other helpless kids here who depend on her for survival. Reluctantly, she hands Luna back to Clan, gives them one last sad look, and quietly walks away. Meanwhile, the bandit assholes drag Alicia over to a sketchy-ass bridge and force her to walk out onto it. Halfway across, she pauses and stares down, making the bandits laugh their asses off. They mockingly warn her that jumping from this height would be a quick ticket straight to hell. But Alicia's actually staring at something else entirely, gleaming gems resting at the bottom of the river below. She instantly recognizes the place and mutters in disbelief before the bandits gleefully confirm this is the exact spot where the legendary hero Cordwar bit the dust. Right then, one brave, desperate captive steps forward, claiming he'll dive down and retrieve whatever the bandits want if they'll just let him and his wife go. His wife frantically urges him on, reminding these scumbags they promised to release them. But as soon as the poor guy plunges into the water, monstrous creatures emerge and immediately tear him to shreds, leaving the wife screaming like hell. Alicia grits her teeth, knowing full well these lying bastards never planned on releasing the guy. She realizes with dread that this place is basically hell on earth, infested with Arvensis, horrific monsters that flooded into their world 300 years ago. Back then, people at least had solid ground to fight on, but even Cordwar, the strongest hero of his time, couldn't handle these nightmare creatures. His legendary sword, the Stream Splitter, remains down in that cursed river to this day. And now these greedy bastards want someone stupid enough to retrieve the sword, even though it's clearly impossible. Furious, Alicia calls out the bandits for being complete scumbags, knowing full well they deliberately sent the poor guy to his death without even bothering to tie his rope properly. They snap back at her, reminding her she's not here to lecture them, and the bastard who's going to discipline her is already waiting. Alicia turns to see the disgusting thug Fido jump onto her bridge, openly leering at her and loudly fantasizing about stripping her. But before Fido can even lay a finger on her, Alicia suddenly breaks one of her own hands to slip free, snatches the sword from him like a damn boss, slices through the bridge ropes, and leaps off into the air. As she plummets toward the ground below, she mutters under her breath, desperately hoping Clen wasn't bullshitting when he assured her she wouldn't die. The gang then peers down, panic setting, and when they spot Alicia's lifeless body, they urgently realize she was their only lead to locating the lost 13 regalia weapons. At the same moment on the ground below, Alicia wakes up, her immortality curse placed by Clevides, bringing her back to consciousness. While she can't die due to the curse, it doesn't grant any regenerative powers, leaving her completely immobilized from the neck down, with absolutely no damn idea how to proceed. Every bone in her body feels shattered, and substantial blood loss makes it impossible for her to move on her own. She knows that remaining undiscovered by the bandits is crucial, so she desperately struggles until her spilled blood begins floating upward, summoning Clen to appear before her. Surprised by Clen's unusually small form, Alicia learns that his current size is due to his manifestation from the blood magic sustaining her immortality. Clen explains that this magical blood is essential to her survival. If she completely bleeds out, she'll truly die. But if Alicia continues proving useful, Clen promises to replenish all of her blood, enabling her body to heal fully from the injuries. Relieved by this assurance, but noticing Clen hasn't begun the healing yet, Alicia asks why he's hesitating. Clen assures her he will heal her, but first needs her insight on something. He recently identified Neru as the ideal candidate to serve as Luna's wet nurse. Despite Clen, even with his demonic senses, recognizing the severe mistreatment Neru suffers here, when he offered her a chance and escape to a far better life as Luna's caretaker, she shockingly refused him outright. Clen seeks Alicia's understanding of why Neru rejected such a beneficial proposal. Alicia surmises Neru likely views Clen as powerless, a slave incapable of fulfilling his promises. Bandit groups like theirs never willingly let anyone leave, relentlessly hunting down any escapees. Having grown up in such a harsh environment, Neru probably believes freedom is an impossible dream. Clen asks Alicia if there's any solution to this problem, and Alicia suggests that the simplest option would be eliminating all the bandits in the base. Without anyone left to chase after Neru, she'd be much more inclined to accept Clen's proposal. Alicia points out that with Clen's immense power, wiping out the entire bandit group should be easy, but Clen refuses, concerned about drawing unwanted attention. He can't afford to reveal his absence from the mountain, fearing others might seize the opportunity to attack Clevides' territory. Instead, Clen insists Alicia should handle it, reasoning it wouldn't be unusual for a hero like her to eliminate a group of bandits during her journey. Alicia attempts to argue back, but Clen interrupts and insists she carry out the task, immediately flooding her body with magic-infused blood to restore her strength. Soon afterward, the bandits arrive at the bottom of the cave to locate Alicia's body. They're horrified to witness her body contorting unnaturally, bones snapping back into position and tissues rapidly mending, subjecting Alicia to unimaginable pain. Eventually, her body fully heals, leaving her completely restored. The bandits are astonished by her survival, but quickly shift their focus, believing they can still force Alicia to guide them to the 13 regalia. Aware of her hero status, they proceed cautiously, but feel confident in their numbers. One eater bandit foolishly charges ahead alone, striking Alicia's shoulder. However, compared to her recent agony, this blow feels insignificant. So Alicia swiftly seizes his arm, delivers a powerful punch to his face, and claims his sword and eye patch. Despite her reluctance to fight, she recognizes the bandits as irredeemable threats who must be eliminated. With Alicia handling the bandits, Clen now focuses on locating Meru and convincing her that escape is genuinely possible. In the meantime, Meru goes back to the tavern, greeted by a worried Karma. Karma expresses concern over the constant abuse Naru endures, frustrated by her own inability to stop the bandits. Naru deeply appreciates Karma's kindness but acknowledges the workload awaiting them, prompting Karma to gently ask Naru to start washing the dishes. Karma sees Naru seems unusually cheerful for someone who just got roughed up and quietly asks if something good happened to her. Naru hesitates, not exactly calling it good, but admits it made her feel happy. She curiously asks Karma if she knows anything about the outside world, catching Karma completely off guard, because Naru has never shown interest in that topic before. Karma cautiously questions why Naru would want to know, so Naru shyly explains she was born in this camp and has no idea what it's like out there. But Karma was brought here from outside, meaning she must have some stories to share. Karma quietly acknowledges she does know about the outside world, but admits they aren't pleasant memories. Like most women who ended up here, their homes were either destroyed or they simply never had homes in the first place, making their past lives something they rarely discuss. Curious and a bit concerned, Karma asks why Naru suddenly cares about the outside, so Naru innocently replies that someone asked if she wanted to leave. Instantly furious, Karma slaps the shit out of her and scolds her harshly for saying something so dangerous out loud, especially with bandits still hanging around the tavern. To these bandits, they're disposable slaves who can be tossed aside whenever they're no longer usable. This is why all the girls had always stuck together and looked out for one another, and if Naru wants to survive here, she can't afford to say such careless things like that. Right at that tense moment, Vroko walks into the tavern, clearly having overheard their conversation, instantly making Karma anxious about what might happen next. Nervously, she tries to act casual, asking Vroko what brings him down here since he rarely visits the tavern. Vroko calmly replies he's heard there's a baby around and came to check on it. Karma quickly nudges Naru, asking her to tell Vroko where Luna is. Naru casually says the baby was in the stables last time she checked, and Vroko announces he'll go take a look himself. However, just as he's about to leave, Vroko suddenly orders Naru to come with him, and Karma's blood immediately runs cold. She can tell by his tone exactly what that means, and it can't possibly be good. Karma desperately tries to speak up for Naru, but since she holds no power here, there's nothing she can actually do. Naru, clueless about what's awaiting her, obediently follows Vroko. Once they're gone, Karma angrily slams her hands on the table, overcome with guilt and frustration. Naru was the only one around who could feed the babies, but Vroko clearly didn't care less. Karma tries convincing herself there's nothing she could have done and bitterly tells herself that Naru brought this fate upon herself by openly talking about escape in front of Vroko. But no matter how much she rationalizes it, she can't shake off the heavy guilt weighing down her heart. Right then, Klen walks in carrying Luna, startling Karma since she hadn't heard him approach. She quickly calms down, figuring he must have come by to let Luna nurse. Regretfully, Karma tells him that Naru was taken away and likely won't be returning. She hates it, but that's just how things are around here. Klen doesn't understand what Karma means and demands she clarify immediately. Seeing the intensity in Klen's eyes, Karma quickly realizes he's dead serious about ensuring Naru's safety. At the same time, Vroko guides Naru down a hidden stairwell into an area she never knew existed, despite spending her whole life in this camp. Naru is fascinated as Vroko explains that these tunnels were once part of a massive magic ore mine. Magic ores have tons of applications. Even a lamp Vroko carries is powered by magic ores blended with insect oil to create its flame. Before turning into a bandit, Vroko spent a lot of time researching magic ores and how to mix them with different liquids to produce unique effects. And as he casually mentions this, Naru notices skulls scattered on the floor, but Vroko, with a wicked smile, dismissively claims they're merely rat bones, assuring her it's nothing to worry about. Suddenly, Vroko extinguishes the lamp, plunging the tunnel into complete darkness. Naru instantly panics, desperately begging him to turn the light back on. Vroko calmly complies, and when the flame flickers back, Naru is horrified to discover Betty, Vroko's pet monster, towering right behind her, looking so damn hungry. Proudly, Vroko explains his research led him to a special mixture that grants control over demons like Betty. This discovery is precisely why he's now the leader of this ruthless bandit gang. And as the leader, he can't afford to let someone like Naru live after openly expressing her wish to escape. Thus, he's decided that Betty will handle Naru's execution personally. Reality hits Naru hard as fear surges through her, and she frantically tries to escape. So Vroko coldly gives Betty the order, and the monster swiftly begins pursuing Naru. As Naru stumbles and struggles to flee, she bitterly recalls Klen's earlier offer. She deeply regrets rejecting it, knowing that if she'd said yes, things might have ended differently. Right then, Naru notices Klen standing at the far end of the tunnel holding Luna, and her heart breaks as she realizes she'll never be able to care for Luna again. Usually, this is exactly when Klen would heroically save her, but unfortunately, Naru gets swiftly devoured by Betty, swallowed whole and seemingly gone forever. Luna immediately bursts into tears after witnessing such a horrific sight, but Clen gently comforts her, explaining this is simply how the world works. Magical beasts have to eat too, so blaming Betty is pointless. If anyone is at fault, it's Clen himself for arriving too late. He's genuinely frustrated at losing someone as valuable as Neru, but there's nothing he can do now. Clen then calmly shifts his attention toward Vroko, puzzled at how a proud troll from the western forests could ever serve a weakling fat dwarf with a buck-toothed face like him. Vroko is completely stunned by Clen's audacity to insult him at a time like this. He's also baffled about how Clen even reached this place, but ultimately, it doesn't matter. Angry, he commands Betty to consume Clen as well, but shockingly, Betty refuses to move. Vroko looks up at his usually obedient monster, only to be met with a sight he's never seen before. Betty trembling in pure terror. In fact, she's so frightened that she involuntarily vomits up Neru, who emerges badly burned by stomach acid and missing both an arm and a leg. Despite the horrific injuries and disfigurement, Neru somehow clings to life. Without hesitation, Clen swiftly neutralizes the acid covering Neru's body and gently places Luna beside her, letting him offer comfort during her final moments. He then discreetly sends one of his shadows to quietly carry both Luna and the severely injured Neru away, while Vroko is distracted. When Vroko turns back to confront Clen again, he's utterly shocked to discover that Luna and Neru have disappeared. Confused and enraged, Vroko assumes Clen must have used some form of magic, but amusingly enough, Clen himself has absolutely no idea what magic even means. Vroko assumes Clen is pretending not to know what magic is because magic is the only possible explanation for all the weird stuff he's been doing. Basically, magic involves mixing magic stones with other strange ingredients to create special effects. For example, this weird drug hidden in Vroko's coat is made from magic stones, a few rare herbs, and the larvae of a nasty parasitic fly. When someone inhales it, they become dumb as hell, except for Vroko himself, obviously. That's exactly how he made Betty so obedient in the first place. Without hesitation, Vroko tosses the drug into the fire, causing a vapor to spread quickly through the air. The moment Betty inhales it, her mind goes blank and she charges straight at Clen in a rage-fueled frenzy. Clen's fragile human body gets smacked around like a ragdoll since he can't fully access his true power in this form. While he flies through the air, bouncing painfully off the cave walls, the only thing running through his head is how furious he is at Alicia for not warning him about this whole magic thing. Speaking of Alicia, she's currently busy slicing through bandits like they're discount meat, already having dropped 8 of them. Unfortunately, there's still a whole mob left to deal with, and the cheap sword she swiped off the first bandit has already snapped in half. She realizes she'll need a way better weapon if she's going to finish off this entire gang, so she makes a break for the flooded part of the cave. Around 50 angry bandits are still chasing her, and even though she's immortal, exhaustion is a very real problem. If her energy runs out before the bandits do, she's seriously screwed. Alicia finally reaches the flooded area, but there's already a pack of hungry monsters swimming at the surface, ready to snack on her. Jumping straight in would be suicide, so instead, she rushes up the wooden scaffolding, luring as many bandits after her as possible. Once a big group has followed her up, Alicia swiftly slices the ropes holding the scaffolding together, sending the screaming bandits crashing into the water below. With so many bandits suddenly flailing in the water, the monsters lose their minds and start tearing into them, enjoying a full-on buffet. While everyone is busy getting eaten, Alicia hides herself inside a nearby barrel. Since suffocating to death isn't a problem for her, she patiently waits as the barrel sinks into the depths, bringing her safely down to the bottom of the lake, exactly where the legendary sword awaits. But actually managing to hold her breath all the way down proves way harder than Alicia had anticipated, and pretty soon the crushing pressure and agonizing lack of oxygen start kicking her ass exactly like she feared. Her body goes numb under the relentless squeeze of water, even though she knows she's immortal and won't actually drown here. Forcing herself to ignore that overwhelming instinct to bolt back to the surface is pure torture. After what feels like an eternity, she finally smashes against the ground, stumbling out of the barrel in a disoriented daze. Instantly, the crimson glow of the legendary sword catches her eye, shining faintly in the darkness, and she immediately drags herself toward it, despite her muscles screaming from exhaustion. Alicia knows damn well that once she grabs that sword, she'll gain a massive power-up, and hauling herself out of this hellhole will become a piece of cake. But just as she's about to catch it, an enormous blood-red eye opens directly in front of her face, and only then does it dawn on Alicia that she's not actually standing on the lake bed, but right on the goddamn back of a colossal monster, which has just woken up thanks to her clumsy landing. The huge beast starts rising from its sleep, throwing Alicia around like a ragdoll in the violent currents. It hits her that this abomination is exactly why the legendary hero bit the dust down here. But she's not about to lose her focus now. Frantically, she lunges once more toward the sword, desperate to grasp its hilt, but right then the enormous creature opens its cavernous mouth, creating a powerful suction that threatens to swallow her whole. Alicia can't fight the insane pull, but at the last possible second, she manages to snatch the sword, just as the monster clamps its jaws shut on her arm. Pinned painfully between its jagged teeth, Alicia summons a surge of raw strength from the trusty power of flashback-fueled rage, and with a savage scream, she shatters the monster's jaw. Finally free, she glares furiously into the beast's glowing eye as the legendary sword starts surging with power in her hands. Without missing a second, she swings it viciously, activating its water manipulation ability to launch herself forward at blistering speed. The gigantic monster immediately gives chase, and Alicia still can't quite wrap her head around the fact that something that freaking massive actually exists down here. She figures this nightmare must be one of the Ancient Ones, terrifying beasts from the Dark Ages who slumbered undisturbed for thousands of years. Typically, these legendary monsters stay hidden away in the most unreachable corners of the continent, but this particular asshole apparently woke up thanks to the humans mining arcanasite here and ruining its beauty sleep. While processing all that insanity, Alicia finally sees the surface approaching, but the smaller monsters lurking there notice her as well. She's painfully aware that she'll need oxygen immediately if she's gonna have any chance of winning this messed up fight, but those hungry little bastards are already blocking her path. With a swift swing of her sword, Alicia propels herself upward, brutally slicing one of the beasts in half and finally breaches the water surface. The bandits stare in absolute disbelief, completely losing their shit at seeing Alicia alive again. But before she can even fully catch her breath, the enormous monster erupts out of the lake behind her. The sight of it sends the remaining thugs into a hysterical frenzy, and immediately the Ancient One unleashes hell, whipping out its massive tentacles and smashing everything in its path. Alicia has no choice but to dodge frantically and pull back, since even her best hits barely scratch the surface of this behemoth. It hits her quickly that even a legendary hero like her has no real chance going solo against a monster of this insane scale. Fortunately, the Ancient One decides to take out its rage on the panicked bandits instead, devouring most of them instantly. And the handful unlucky enough to escape its jaws end up shredded by the monster fish, leaving nothing but chum in the water, so Alicia figures her job here is officially done. Just then, she hears Clen's voice echoing in her head and glances around, searching for the bastard. He quickly tells her he's talking to her through telepathy, adding that while he can't clearly see what happened, the bloodbath he's sensing all around means she's obviously completed her mission. Alicia explodes at him through their mental link, cursing him out for not helping her when she was fighting for her damn life, but Clen shuts her off, calmly saying he's dealing with his own shitshow at the moment. Alicia struggles to imagine anything that could trouble someone like a demon lord, but Clen explains he's facing some weird technique he's never encountered before, and this human form he's wearing sucks way more than he expected. He complains that Alicia conveniently forgot to mention magic's existence to him, promising her that once she returns, he'll punish her accordingly. Still, he's already dealt with the brainwashed troll, and he is now chilling on top of the troll's body. Elsewhere, Vroko is desperately sprinting for his life, internally screaming about how Clem turned out to be some ridiculously powerful mage who one-shotted his troll like it was nothing. In his blind panic, he trips over Neru's lifeless body with baby Luna bawling beside it, and as soon as he sees the kid, a sinister idea pops into his twisted mind, giving him one last shot at salvaging his hopeless situation. Meanwhile, Alicia rushes to regroup with Clen after getting his instructions, immediately noticing the bizarre crimson smoke drifting through the air. Clen, on the other hand, quickly notices the sword Alicia is now awkwardly hiding beneath some cloth. She bluntly informs him she's sure as hell not discarding the blade after nearly getting herself killed trying to get her hands on it. Clen could honestly care less about the sword right now though, because that strange red smoke is seriously messing with his senses. He irritably informs Alicia that although normal humans and animals seem unaffected, it's completely throwing him off balance as a demon lord. He can't smell a damn thing, his ears won't stop ringing, and frankly, he's pissed off. Clan growls in frustration, saying that if he reverted to his true form, he could obliterate the entire area and clear this irritating smoke instantly, but there's no way in hell he's going nuclear until he knows exactly where Luna is. Alicia immediately freaks out upon discovering that Luna isn't with Clen, but he quickly reassures her, saying the kid shouldn't have gotten far. He then demands Alicia spill whatever she knows about magic. She explains that only a handful of people can pull it off by channeling the hidden energy inside arcanasite. Alicia admits with frustration that she personally sucks at magic despite knowing some theory, and Clen bluntly calls her utterly useless. Alicia explodes, unleashing a torrent of curses at Clen, but he completely ignores her ranting and decides they need to move fast and locate Luna and Neru, acknowledging that there's a chance both of them could already be dead. Alicia's blood runs cold at hearing those chilling words, and she nervously asks Clen what he'd do if Luna really is dead. Without a hint of emotion, he responds that he'd immediately lose all interest in humanity, causing Alicia to realize in horror that this scenario would be humanity's absolute worst nightmare. Determined to save mankind from Clen's wrath, Alicia urgently starts searching for Luna, quickly stumbling upon a trail of fresh blood. She asks Clen if Neru had been bleeding, and he confirms it. Alicia guesses that either Neru's dragging herself along or somebody's pulling her. Either way, they wouldn't have gotten far, meaning they need to move their asses right now. Meanwhile, Neru is barely alive, desperately holding onto Vroko's leg with every shred of strength she has left, determined to protect Luna even if it's her last damn breath. Vroko, completely pissed off, keeps cursing and brutally kicking Neru, ordering her to let go. But she stubbornly refuses. Vroko is desperate to shake Neru off so he can flee with Luna, since earlier when tried to grab the kid, Luna's cry made his magic lantern explode spectacularly. This made him realize that Luna clearly possesses insane magical talent, and being a pure-blooded Haiden, he might even belong to the royal family. Frustrated, Vroko raises his blade to cut off Neru's wrist and finally free himself. But just then Alicia bursts onto the scene, furiously ordering him to stop. Vroko merely pisses himself, demanding to know what happened to his men who went after her. Clen coldly answers him, casually mentioning that his men ended up as dark beast snacks. Vroko totally panics now, desperately threatening Alicia and Clen not to get closer or he'll chop off Luna's tiny fingers. Clen, completely unfazed, dares the bastard to go ahead, mocking him that he can just heal any injuries anyway. Alicia quickly interrupts Clen, scolding him that even if he fixes Luna's wounds, he can't heal the mental scars he'll leave behind. She insists Clen shut up and let her handle this negotiation herself, then dramatically reveals she has the legendary hero's magical weapon. Vroko practically loses his mind when he spots the legendary sword, but Alicia suddenly hurls it into the wall behind him, shouting at him to take it. She instructs him that he'll need both hands to pry the sword out and promises that if he leaves Luna unharmed, she'll let him keep the sword and walk away. Vroko starts laughing bitterly, calling bullshit because no true hero would ever trade away such a powerful weapon just for some brat. Convinced now more than ever that Luna really is royal blood, Vroko changes his tactics and demands Alicia reveal the locations of the 13 legendary weapons she and her allies possess if she wants the kid back. And Clen also tells Alicia to just give up the damn locations, dismissively remarking that they're only weapons after all. Alicia coldly tells Vroko that the legendary weapons are hidden at the deepest part of the canyon beneath Luna Mountain, but warns him he'll have to personally haul his ass there if he wants them. Vroko chuckles smugly, boasting that it will be easy for him to snatch those weapons since he's mastered more than just one type of magic. Without warning, he throws a mysterious black powder into the air, gently taps Luna to startle the kid into crying, and triggers Luna's powerful magic instinctively. Luna's energy activates Vroko's hidden spell, cloaking him in invisibility. Smirking with confidence, he starts strolling away, fully convinced Alicia and Clen can't possibly track him now. But just as he thinks he's gotten away clean, Alicia suddenly materializes directly in his path and effortlessly slices him straight in half. Vroko, completely baffled, gasps in disbelief, asking how in the hell she found him. Alicia coldly explains that even if he turned invisible and muffled all the noise he made, she could still clearly hear Luna's crying. Meanwhile, Clen retrieves Luna and brushes the invisibility dust off the kid. Alicia bitterly decides to let Vroko's corpse remain invisible, quickly turning her attention to Neru, realizing with gratitude that Luna only survived because Neru protected him with every last ounce of strength she had. Alicia desperately asks Clen if he can't save her, but he coldly replies that he can control only one zombie puppet at a time, and Neru's body is way too damaged for his regeneration ability alone. He casually says they could potentially get replacement parts elsewhere, but it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to let her die. Alicia immediately snaps at him, furiously shouting how the hell he could abandon a woman who sacrificed everything to protect his child. Passionately, she declares that if she were a mother, she'd absolutely trust someone like Neru to watch her child, and hearing Alicia's heartfelt speech, Clen finally caves and decides to save Neru. But he warns Alicia that she'll have to die temporarily because he'll need every bit of mana he invested in her. Without hesitation, Alicia boldly says she doesn't give a damn if she has to die again for someone else. After all, she's the freaking hero. So Clen takes her words at face value, instantly kills her. Moments later, Neru awakens, utterly confused as she realizes she's somehow still alive. Even more shocking, she discovers her body's been completely reconstructed by Clen during the healing process. Neru hesitantly asks if he's the one who saved her life, and Clen casually confirms it, adding that she should really be thanking the hero. He explains that healing Neru took longer than expected, causing Alicia's body to start decomposing. But now that he's restored Alicia's mana, she should wake up again shortly. Seconds later, Alicia woke up dramatically, sprinting up like she's breakdancing, immediately panicking about her missing sword. Clan ignores her antics, calmly informing Meru that she's been reborn and from now on she'll go by the name Nelliru. He hands Luna back into her arms, firmly telling her that from this moment onward, she'll be traveling with them, and this time without hesitation, Nelliru gratefully accepts his offer with a genuine smile. The following day, Clan snatches Alicia's sword away, devastating her completely, but he bluntly explains that waving it around would attract way too much damn attention, so he'll stash it safely in his shadow until it's actually required. Meanwhile, Nelliru finishes packing tons of loot from the bandits for their trip, even finding some decent-looking clothes for Lumen. Alicia asks if Nelliru is seriously planning on carrying all that stuff alone, since it looks ridiculously heavy. But Nelliru brushes it off, saying it actually feels pretty light. Alicia suddenly remembers Nelliru lost a huge chunk of her body yesterday when she nearly died, so Clan must have swapped those parts out for something powerful enough to make her this strong. But Alicia still has no clue what the hell he actually did. Nelliru then eagerly approaches Alicia, offering to help by carrying her sword, but Alicia sadly admits she doesn't even have her sword anymore. Nelliru instantly perks up, remembering Vroko mentioning he stashed a bunch of badass swords inside his desk. Hearing this, Alicia immediately lights up and begs Clan to at least let her have a normal sword. Clan is fully aware Alicia is practically useless in combat without a weapon, sighs, and tells her fine, she can go grab one. So Alicia excitedly rushes off to raid Vroko's desk. With Vroko and his entire bandit crew dead and the slaves already gone, the hideout is eerily deserted now. Clan casually asks Nelliru if she'll miss the place, but she quickly responds she's had nothing but nightmares here, so she's more than thrilled to leave it behind. Her only regret is not getting the chance to say goodbye to Karma. Hearing her mention Karma with such sadness, Clan suddenly realizes he might have screwed up earlier, but right before he can say anything, he's viciously ambushed from above. Meanwhile, Alicia kicks Vroko's office door wide open, eagerly searching his desk. She happily discovers some money, a set of leather armor, and a pretty solid sword. More than satisfied, she's about to return triumphantly to Clan, but suddenly, Clan violently crashes through the wall, slamming into the desk, completely wrecking it. Groaning in pain, Clan bitterly remarks he's still not used to how pathetically fragile this stupid human body is, constantly getting ragdolled around like some kind of stuffed animal. However, before Clan can explain what the hell just happened, Gart suddenly steps through the massive hole in the wall, and Alicia instantly realizes he's powerful as hell. She draws her sword, ready to fight, but in a blink, Gart lunges forward, delivering a kick so powerful that the sheer air pressure slices Alicia's cheek open. Gart is mildly impressed that Alicia managed to react fast enough to dodge, but he figures she won't last long, immediately launching into a ruthless barrage of kicks until Alicia stumbles. He then jumps back, unleashing a violent gust of wind that blasts Alicia straight through the roof and out of the building. Alicia crash lands outside, and Gart is again genuinely surprised she can still stand after that hit, so he calmly offers her a deal. He says he's only after Clan. If Alicia drops her sword and leaves right now, he promises he'll stop fighting her. But Alicia doesn't trust a word Gart says, convinced he's just another surviving bandit. She bitterly wishes she had her stream splitter sword right now, but since that's not happening, she'll have to rely on one of Hayden's techniques instead. Clearing every useless thought from her mind, Alicia narrows her focus until the only thing she's thinking about is slicing Gart to pieces. With her mind crystal clear, her movements become much more precise, and she suddenly darts forward with a shocking burst of speed. Gart is caught completely off guard by Alicia's sudden acceleration, and just as her blade is about to land, Clan shouts sharply at her to stop. Alicia's body instantly freezes mid-attack, instinctively obeying Clan's command, but her mind still burns with nothing but pure murder. So Clan has no choice but to smack some sense back into her before things escalate further. Once Alicia snaps back to her senses, Clan explains loudly that this whole fight is just one huge misunderstanding, and there's no good reason to fight Gart. Besides, if Clan hadn't intervened just now, Gart would have obliterated her entire body with a single kick before her sword could even touch him. Gart, being reasonable, calmly asks Clan to elaborate exactly how this is all just a misunderstanding. As far as Gart can tell, Nelliru over there reeks suspiciously like a Dan Western troll, and he heard a rumor about a troll being kept captive in this camp before coming here. He's already checked out the caverns below and discovered the troll's corpse, which was missing multiple body parts as if someone had deliberately removed them. Gart's theory is straightforward. Clan must be the leader here, and he probably killed the troll just for fun, but that's about as far from the truth as it gets. Clan then calmly asks Nelliru to grab Luna and wait by the front gate since he has some business to sort out with Gart privately. As soon as she's gone, Clan casually turns to Alicia and bluntly reveals that Gart is actually a dark beast in disguise, Alicia's jaw practically hits the floor since she had absolutely no clue there were other dark beasts who could transform into humans, but Clen calmly tells her Gart's merely under a seriously powerful illusion. As far as Clen's aware, there's only one being strong enough to pull off illusion magic of this level, and it's Zathir, the dark beast Lord of the West himself. And just for the record, Clen absolutely cannot stand Zathir and would really rather not deal with him at all. Gart, stunned by how accurately Clen identified him after such a brief encounter, demands to know who Clen truly is. Not wanting to expose his actual identity, Clen smoothly lies, claiming he's merely a servant of the dark beast Lord Clevites. Gart buys the story immediately and dispels his illusion magic, revealing his true form as a monstrous bird serving under Zathir. Having shown his real form, Gart asks Clen to offer proof of his own dark beast identity, prompting Clen to reveal one of his shadow tails. Satisfied by this proof, Gart quickly calls for truce. Meanwhile, Alicia is having a full-blown mental crisis because this is way too much crazy information hitting her at once. First of all, she had zero idea there were other beasts like Clevites who could disguise themselves as humans and speak human languages fluently. If that's true, then what the hell was the point of the heroes going to war against Clevites at all? Noticing Alicia freaking out, Clen sighs, telling her to chill out because there really aren't many dark beasts out there capable of such elaborate disguises. Aside from Zathir, none of them would even bother interacting with humans without a damn good reason. With all that cleared up, Gart bluntly asks why the hell Clen is willingly associating himself with a human lady. Clen smoothly replies that Alicia's just a human he turned into his personal servant, forcing her to obey every command he gives. He's keeping her around solely as a guide while learning about the human world, and the same thing goes for Neluru and Luna, but he makes it clear he's not going to share any more details with Gart. Understanding the situation, Gart decides he won't pry any further, but firmly states that if Clen interferes with his assignment, he'll have no choice but to exterminate him. Clen smirks confidently, telling Gart he's more than welcome to try, but taking him down won't be easy at all. However, since Clen just answered Gart's questions, he decides it's his turn to ask something. Previously, Gart said Zathir was considering wiping out all humanity, but Clen finds that pretty damn weird. From what he remembers, Zathir always loved observing humans, and even the Orgites in the West worshipped him like a freaking deity. So why the sudden desire to annihilate humanity? Gart sighs and agrees to explain. He tells them that 3 days ago he discovered several dark beasts in the West had their children vanish without a trace. Normally something like that wouldn't be too suspicious, but he also found a strange vial near the scene, strongly hinting that humans were somehow involved. Gart immediately informs Zathir about this incident, as well as 9 others just like it. Zathir reluctantly admitted humans must be responsible, expressing shock that they betrayed her trust like this despite all the goodwill she'd shown them. Enraged, Zathir ordered Gart to investigate further, and if he confirmed humans were indeed kidnapping the Dark Beast's children from the forest, she completely wiped them from existence. Clen contemplates this for a moment and suddenly realizes there might actually be a connection between the Dark Beast kidnappings and the bandits. The night before, during his interrogation, Karma revealed that every child born in this camp was sold off to a mysterious group due to their special talent, exactly what Vroko intended to do with Luna. Clen suspects there's got to be some link between the kidnapped Dark Beast children and the humans buying these kids. Given the mention of talent, Clen strongly believes magic is involved somehow. The moment Alicia hears Clen mention magic, her expression darkens instantly, prompting Clen to ask if she knows anything. Alicia reluctantly admits magic isn't exactly her specialty, but kidnapping children for magical talent definitely sounds like something those bastard wizards would do. Wizards have completely changed warfare in human kingdoms over recent years. These days, battles are practically decided entirely by the wizards each side has, because a single wizard can wipe out dozens, sometimes even hundreds of soldiers with a freaking single spell. Sure, wizards can be countered by other wizards, so they're not invincible, but they're undeniably terrifying on the battlefield. The very first person to weaponize wizards in warfare was General Drell, the infamous Dragon Slayer, who just happens to be the same monster that killed Alicia's father when she was young. So of course Alicia held a bitter grudge against him ever since. Clen finds this revelation pretty interesting, but he's confused as hell why Alicia wasted all her time chasing him instead of hunting down the bastard who actually killed her dad, considering Clevites never even harmed humans before they invaded his territory. So Alicia quietly replies that it was her dad's dying wish, so she had no choice but to set her own feelings aside and complete the assignment to invade Clevites' domain. At the same time, in another part of the human kingdom, General Drell's massive army is marching steadily south, boasting 50,000 men under his command, determined to seize control of the ruins of Haydn for himself. What's left of the battered Haydn army desperately tries to stop him, but they barely scraped together 6,000 troops and hardly any wizards at that, so it's painfully obvious they stand no chance. Mikkel anxiously asks if reinforcements are close, but given the mess they are in, it'll be at least 3 days before any backup arrives, so they're completely on their own. Yet Commander Rhodey refuses to surrender without a fight. He quickly formulates a risky but promising plan, telling Mikkel that if they can manage to reach the fortress at Highgate and seal it from within, they just might have a chance at holding off Drell's massive army, despite the overwhelming odds. Unfortunately, that strategy relies entirely on cooperation from the soldiers already inside the fortress, and even though Rhodey has urgently sent word explaining their situation, he hasn't heard anything back. So he assumes things inside the fortress must be chaotic as hell too. On top of that, they hadn't yet confirmed whether the rumors about Clevites destroying Haydn were true. But seeing as Bolate dispatched General Drell to seize the territory, Rhodey grimly concludes that Haydn must have indeed lost. And he suspected that Drell's real objective is probably the legendary Forge of Haydn itself, because without it, creating magical weapons would be impossible. Mikkel nods gravely, agreeing it'd be a complete disaster if Bolate got their greedy hands on the Forge crafting deadly magical weapons for their army. But the reality is even worse. The Royal Forge of Haydn is one of the oldest and most powerful magical artifacts ever created. If those magic-obsessed Bolates managed to obtain it, who knows what dark secrets they'd uncover? And with that kind of power, conquering the entire continent would be child's play. So Rhodey sternly concludes they must prevent that nightmare scenario at all costs. Elsewhere, General Drell meets privately with Maynard, the most powerful wizard under his command. Maynard reports he's now confirmed that Haydn has definitely been obliterated by Clevites, and tragically, every member of the royal family was verified dead. Well, almost all because the 6-month-old crown prince somehow escaped. He's the last remaining royal heir, but his whereabouts remain anonymous, so Maynard can't get verified if the child's alive or dead. In better news, though, Maynard reveals he's received a report from some bandits who discovered a baby matching the prince's description exactly. Maynard insists it's worth looking into, and Drell immediately grants him full authority, ordering him to use any means necessary to track down that baby and bring him back. This was the end of episode 5. Subscribe to not miss the next episode.